This is Fred Richani of TSC News, here to recap WWE Monday Night Raw, January 18th, 2016. Raw, the final Raw before Royal Rumble 2016. And I gotta say, when I heard that Roman Reigns was defending his WWE World Heavyweight Championship against 29 other superstars, I got excited. I got pumped up. I was like, hell yeah, we're about to get a kick-ass Royal Rumble match that is going to be unpredictable. And look, it may very well be unpredictable, but the build-up to this show hasn't been that great. The build-up to the undercard of this show, or lack thereof, hasn't been that great. And if you were tuning into Raw tonight, with football season pretty much being over outside of the remaining playoff games, if you were tuning into this Raw, ready to be hyped up for the Royal Rumble, which is personally my favorite pay-per-view, this show did not do the trick. The roster depth is horrible. Horrible. Just horrible. We have the likes of the Ascension in the Royal Rumble, Titus O'Neil in the Royal Rumble, Mark Henry, God bless him, but it ain't his time anymore, in the Royal Rumble. Big Show, same thing, in the Royal Rumble. The Ryback in the Royal Rumble. All these guys, Neville, who's been neutered so badly in the Royal Rumble. The Miz in the Royal Rumble. There's literally like two realistic possibilities as far as guys we know that are in the Royal Rumble. Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, and then there's everybody else. Now, there could be Triple H. Perhaps he could enter as number 30, eliminate Roman Reigns, win the world title. Perhaps he could enter number 31, shock the world, still win the world title. Man, I'm not feeling any of that though. I'm just not. I don't necessarily mind seeing Triple H in the Royal Rumble match. I don't necessarily mind seeing Triple H versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. I mean, he is a featured performer. He's been the top heel more or less for the last 2.5 years for WWE, for better or worse, even though he's a part-timer and wrestles like once or twice a year. But Roman Reigns versus Triple H for the title at WrestleMania? That I'm not feeling. Whether it's Roman going in as the world champion or Triple H going in as the world champion, because let's face it, with no Money in the Bank winner this time around at WrestleMania time, the result's a foregone conclusion. Roman Reigns is going to win that match. So why put a title on the line and make it even more predictable than it already is? Would it be cool to see Triple H win the title one more time, eliminate Roman Reigns? Would it make storyline sense? Yeah. Would that make sense for, say, a Fastlane main event for February, leading up to Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar 2, which I think would be a kick-ass match? Yes. Do I think they're going to do that? No. It looks like they're going to be saving Reigns versus Triple H for Mania. And if that's the biggest matchup you can make, and look, I understand all the injuries and everything else, but if that's the biggest matchup you can make for WrestleMania, Cowboy Stadium, 100,000 people, good God almighty. They're going to need some help there. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully AJ Styles will debut at the Royal Rumble. It's rumored that he actually might debut the next night on Raw, which I think is in Miami. Shout out to my boy John Double J Johnson, who's always got the hookup with WWE in that town. So we'll see. Not intrigued though. This Raw, if you missed it, you missed nothing. You really missed nothing. The only thing you missed is Chris Jericho's obnoxiously tight pants that make Batista shake his head. His god-awful wardrobe. I mean, just god-awful. I don't know what the hell he's thinking. And Chris Jericho's bad jokes. This was just brutal. I'm a huge Chris Jericho fan. Grew up loving the guy. He's one of the all-time greats. But if you try to explain to a kid, a younger fan, the greatness of Chris Jericho, my God, I have a hard time explaining to them while them keeping a straight face. He needs a facelift. He needs to turn heel, ditch the bad jokes. I don't know if that's just WWE giving him this material. I don't know if he's at the point where he doesn't care anymore and he realizes that creative is such a mess that he'd rather just cash in these big checks while putting in half the effort. I don't know. But Chris Jericho's not the same guy he was a couple years ago, let alone 3-4 years ago. Definitely not. And it's sad to see. It really is. Maybe, just maybe, when they had him feud with Fandango and get jobbed out to Fandango and the likes of Curtis Axel, maybe they just kind of, beat the hell out of him to the point where he's like, all right, I'll come back every now and then and I'll just get paid. I mean, he is the type of guy that would put over anybody and everybody. And he'd always say, I could lose every time out and I'll still be just as over as I was before. Well, obviously that's not the case. And obviously there's a lot more younger fans. Well, there's always been younger fans in wrestling. But I think more than ever now, it's hard for certain guys like Chris Jericho to just simply rely on nostalgia. Because lately, he hasn't been coming off as Chris Jericho, the legend, the first ever undisputed champion. He's come off more like Chris Jericho, the really, really uncool dad. And I hate to see it. It sucks to see this guy begging for cheers. Oh, I mean, this guy's an accomplished musician, podcast host, done it all in pro wrestling. It's just sad to see. So he needs to turn heel. He needs to do something. Okay, he's one of the few guys on the main roster, one of the few legends remaining that has a real rep, kind of like Triple H, that has a respect with the fans, that cachet with the fans. But my God, each passing week with these bad jokes, with his bad dialogue, it's slowly eroding that. Now, as for the opening segment, good God, this was horrible. Not only did you have Chris Jericho's bad jokes, right, but you had Roman Reigns with some wooden dialogue. Not as bad as last year, but some wooden dialogue. Then you had the League of Nations with some really wooden dialogue. You had Sheamus make some really bad jokes that I don't care to remember. You had Rusev cut a promo, I guess, in Bulgarian. You had Alberto Del Rio show some fire, but he was quickly shut down. And yeah, this was just a complete mess. And Chris Jericho said, hey, you know what? Roman, you eliminated Rusev last year, right? So how about you versus Rusev, and I'll be the special guest referee. So Chris Jericho somehow has the authority, which was never explained, by the way, to make this match. And this match went on forever. Rusev and Roman Reigns, they've had a lot of really good matches before, but I've just seen this match one too many times, especially when I know exactly how it's going to end. So Chris Jericho going back and forth with the League of Nations, and he essentially threw them all out, but rather than throw them all out at once, he did this so slowly. He built it up, he threw out Sheamus and did a cartwheel. Then he was arguing with King Barrett. And I don't know if it was just the lighting or if King Barrett's just getting old, or maybe he decided to go to the Chris Jericho School of Cosmetology, but his hair was looking really funky. And then Chris Jericho said, get out, and he did another cartwheel. And then Alberto Del Rio sat up top and argued with Chris Jericho, and this was for, again, it felt like eternity. And Chris Jericho set him out again, and he did another cartwheel. And Rusev's teasing he's going to attack Jericho, although the camera wasn't really on him, but you could kind of tell Rusev was plotting some doom. But Roman Reigns hit a spear, got to 1, 2, 3, and we later had Roman Reigns, Chris Jericho, and Brock Lesnar and the highlight reel. What was said to be the biggest highlight reel of all time. And the show ended with this. It was okay. A really awkward promo exchange between Paul Heyman and Chris Jericho, with Chris Jericho trying to insinuate that Brock Lesnar was scared to get into the Rumble, whereas Paul Heyman made perfect sense, very, very, very logical with his explanation. Brock never truly lost the title. He wasn't pinned or submitted at WrestleMania. He never got a rematch for the championship. Well, actually, he did, but it ended in a non-finish thanks to The Undertaker. He won via disqualification against Seth Rollins. So why the hell isn't Brock Lesnar in the main event of WrestleMania or getting a one-on-one championship match? Fair argument, right? Fair argument. But Chris Jericho and Heyman just kept going and going and going. This was by far one of the weaker promos that Paul Heyman has cut in his career, at least in recent years. Just, yeah, no bueno. Brock Lesnar came out. Roman Reigns came out. Roman Reigns speared Brock Lesnar out of his shoes. Then the League of Nations came out. Chaos ensued. And then afterwards, Brock Lesnar took out the League of Nations. Roman Reigns speared him again, which I thought was pretty awesome. I mean, some people may say, oh, that hurts the aura of Brock Lesnar, but you want your top babyface to look like a badass too, right? So Roman Reigns speared him again. Wyatt family appeared, beat up Reigns, beat up Brock, and I'm thinking, all right, they're going to have at least somebody coming out that's another contender to win this Royal Rumble, right? Somebody, maybe, just maybe, they'll have Dean Ambrose or Kevin Owens come out, and they'll say the winner of the last man standing match will automatically be in the Royal Rumble, which would be great because both guys are, they're not top guys, but, you can make the argument they're definitely on the cusp. I'd say Dean Ambrose more than Kevin Owens, but those two guys are definitely over, definitely more popular than a lot of the guys on the roster. But nope. Wyatt family just beat the hell out of these guys. No AJ Styles, no Bullet Club, no Daniel Bryan's Ghost, no Dean Ambrose, no Kevin Owens, no Finn Balor, no tease of anything. You could at least have like some vague vignette of somebody debuting at the Rumble. Nope. Just, the Wyatt family standing tall. And earlier, you won't believe this, they beat the Dudley Boys. I know. I can't believe it. The Dudley Boys and the Wyatt family wrestled again? Wow. It's like Roman Reigns and Rusev. I can't believe those guys wrestled again. Wow. We had a Total Divas promo match. A match to promote Total Divas. It was Natalya in her best Dana Brooke attire, although I'm not complaining, accompanied by Paige, who's recovered from her concussion, but is somehow now a babyface. I guess when you get concussed, you automatically turn. I don't know. Big Show would know. He's turned like 38 times. So Natalya beat Brie Bella, accompanied by Alicia Fox, via submission. We had Stephanie McMahon and Vince McMahon come out and do the drawing of who's going to be number one in the Rumble. It's Roman Reigns. So Vince chastised Steph and said, hey, you know what? You put that in there. Let's try this again. Let's do it the legit way. Pulled out the ball, opened it up. Roman Reigns, number one again. Shocker. So Roman Reigns is number one. As I mentioned before, we had the Wyatt family beat the Dudley Boys and Ryback. We had the Big Show destroy Heath Slater. So the Social Outcast push lasted about 2 weeks or so. He destroyed the rest of them. We had Becky Lynch beat Tamina via submission. This match went 4 minutes too long, but Becky Lynch did the best she did. And she got on the mic, called out Charlotte, who was at ringside, begged her, well, not begged her, but she kind of convinced her. She convinced her to give her a title shot. Sort of. She was begging for the fans' approval. Crowd was kind of dead, but, there were enough people in the crowd that liked Becky, and she did cut a really good promo. And if WWE wasn't so intent on making fun of anybody that wasn't born in America and has an accent, I think more people would take her seriously because she's freaking awesome. And she's been really good on the mic as of late. She's already a damn good professional wrestler. It was kind of hard for her to click at first, but I don't think it's really her fault. It was more just a creative and her being booked as a really stupid babyface. But called out Charlotte, said, hey, let's do this. I want my rematch. Charlotte said, you already got your rematch and you lost. So Becky Lynch did the next best thing. She insulted Ric Flair, said the apples fell far from the tree, and Rick, you're a coward like your daughter. So Ric Flair flipped out, said, you want to get in the ring with the best of all time, referring to Charlotte, not himself. He says, you're on. And Charlotte just looked disapprovingly, going like, Dad, what in the hell did you get me into? So Charlotte versus Becky is official for the Divas Championship. We had Sheamus and Alberto Del Rio defeat Dean Ambrose and Kalisto. Believe it or not, Alberto Del Rio, if you didn't watch SmackDown, did regain the United States Championship. Kalisto's push lasted literally 1 week. That one SmackDown, he beat Alberto Del Rio. That one Raw where he beat Del Rio for the title. And then that SmackDown where he lost the title. Yeah. We had a Royal Rumble promo video, which was pretty good. I think it was actually narrated by Byron Saxton. So this actually got me somewhat excited for the Royal Rumble. We had Big E versus Jey Uso, which went way too long. Both guys worked really, really hard, but both guys have also been booked like geeks as of late. And, man, the New Day, they had a funeral for the trombone, even though these guys are rich, or in theory are rich and could buy a new trombone. It was just a brutal segment that wasn't funny at all. This is a classic case of WWE just taking something, putting their fingerprints all over it and ruining it. Rather than let it continue to be organic with the New Day and let these guys come up with their own material, they were like, hey, let's just do more New Day. And yeah, haven't really been a fan of that. But Big E got the win due to some tomfoolery. We had R-Truth, Titus O'Neil, and Mark Henry backstage talk about how they were going to win the Royal Rumble, and it is Martin Luther King Day. So they were talking about how they have a dream, and then Neville, the token white guy, just poked his head through and put his hand there and said, hey, what about me? And then they said, keep the dream alive on 3. 1, 2, 3, keep the dream alive. Yeah, that was really corny and extremely unnecessary on Martin Luther King Day. Then again, it's not like WWE has really shown that they actually understand people of different backgrounds, at least well enough to not stereotype them and put them in awkward segments like this one right here. But yeah, is what it is. So anyway, let's go to the comments. Oh, for SmackDown, we have Miz TV with Kevin Owens and Dean Ambrose confirmed. And we also have Roman Reigns taking on the entire League of Nations. As the great Tony Schiavone once said, that'll put the butts in the seats. Okay. Zip Away says, I'm calling it right now. Bray Wyatt versus Brock at WrestleMania. Okay. Hey, greetings from Germany. What's up, Basti Failed? Appreciate you watching. David Show says, Panthers rock and Hornets rock. Somebody's from Charlotte, North Carolina. Okay. Let's see. PV says, what is this? This is the live Raw recap on youtube.com/the Courier. You can also listen to this after the fact on soundcloud.com/TSC News and iTunes. You can also check us out on facebook.com/the Courier and twitter.com/Sports Courier, or you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Fred Richani. But enough of the plugs here. Okay. Do you think that AJ Styles will win the Royal Rumble? Well, spoiler alert. We did a Royal Rumble simulation on WWE 2K16, and it turns out AJ Styles did win the Royal Rumble. And Curtis Axel lasted an uncomfortably long amount of time. I don't think that's going to happen, particularly because Roman Reigns got eliminated relatively early. But we'll see. We'll see. Somebody's asking me right now about our YouTube stream and who's in the ring. Well, Luigi's in the ring, and I put the computer on to simulate the Royal Rumble with a bunch of wacky characters. And for whatever reason now, I guess because Luigi eliminated everybody in the ring, he's just kind of standing there right now. I swear I'm not controlling this. He's just kind of standing there and looking around. I'm not really sure why. I guess somebody's finally entering the ring. Yeah, the AI in WWE 2K16 is not the best. Hey, it's Jeff Hardy, who's not going to be in the Royal Rumble this Sunday. Oh, well. What do you think about Brock Lesnar versus Kevin Owens? I like it, but if Kevin Owens loses to Dean Ambrose, I can't really see that happening. You know, they really got to put some steam on him, and I don't know if they're going to be able to put some steam on him in a month and a half or two. If Roman Reigns loses the title, how soon do you see him regaining it? Depends who he loses it to. Excuse me. If he loses it to Brock, you know, they could do Brock versus Roman at WrestleMania. If he loses it to Triple H, they could do Triple H versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, which is what they're probably doing. If he loses to somebody other than Triple H, I'd probably say it'll be like at Extreme Rules. So yeah, I'd say Extreme Rules. So at most a couple months. I mean, I don't think a guy should only hold the title for a month, but he's gotten pretty over, and you want your babyface to have some obstacles in front of him. I mean, Stone Cold Steve Austin didn't have the longest title reigns either. Granted, his first title reign lasted longer than a month, but You got to put some steam on some heels. That's why I'm kind of hoping that Triple H doesn't win the title on Sunday. I kind of hope that they have somebody else win kind of as a surprise. We'll see, though. We'll see. I mean, I did lay out a scenario on the WWE RAW pre-show, which I don't think they're going to do given how horribly they've utilized him and how he's been mishandled thus far. Plus, he's still in a stable of complete geeks. But I would say, if you want to play off Alberto Del Rio's legit MMA and amateur wrestling background, and you want to finally book this guy like the Mexican badass he should be portrayed as, what you could do is have him win the Royal Rumble. And you could actually set up not one, but 2 pay-per-view main events with the Royal Rumble finish. Here's what you do. You have Brock Lesnar go to F5 Alberto Del Rio. Alberto on the top rope, uses his jiu-jitsu, locks in the armbar, gets Brock Lesnar to nearly tap, injures Brock Lesnar's arm, because Brock obviously is not going to tap, and pulls him over the top rope onto the floor. You could then have Roman Reigns versus Alberto Del Rio in the final 2. You could have Triple H's music come on. You could have Roman Reigns get distracted, and yes, I hate the distraction finish. But you could either have Triple H return and attack Roman, or you could just have Roman be distracted by, say, Stephanie or Vince or whoever. Have Alberto kick him in the head, clothesline him, win the title. Boom. Then, at Fastlane, you do Alberto Del Rio versus Roman Reigns. And what you can do is have Alberto Del Rio work on the arm. And then finally, Triple H makes his return, attacks Roman Reigns, hits him with the sledgehammer in Roman Reigns' arm. Alberto locks in the armbar. Roman's forced to tap. Now, I don't see a scenario where they're going to make Roman Reigns or John Cena or any babyface at that level that they're pushing tap. But in a perfect world, that's what they do. Or they just have Triple H interfere and Alberto gets the pin. Personally, I would have Roman Reigns tap. I mean, seriously, it's 2016. There's really no shame in a guy tapping. I mean, happens all the time in MMA. But obviously, they don't learn from the UFC, which learned from them originally, which is why the UFC is so successful. And then at WrestleMania, after Brock wins a number 1 contenders match at Fastlane, you do Brock versus Del Rio. You do Roman versus Triple H non-title. Roman wins. You could go either way with Brock and Alberto. If you have Brock beat Alberto, you could do Brock versus Roman down the road, or right afterwards at Extreme Rules. Or if you want to go really bold and you want to go all in on Del Rio as a badass heel, you have him actually make Brock Lesnar tap out. And by that point, if nobody has bought Alberto Del Rio as a heel, as a true top guy, then my God, you did everything you could, and it just didn't work out. Or the likely scenario would be that this guy lives up to the potential that he showcased in AAA and in Lucha Underground, and boom, there's your Extreme Rules main event. Alberto, Roman, 2 legit badasses going up against each other for the World Heavyweight Championship. And by that point, I'm sure AJ Styles will have debuted, the Bullet Club will have debuted, Nakamura will have debuted. Maybe finally they'll have called up Finn Balor and Sami Zayn. Randy Orton will eventually be healthy. John Cena says Rollins will eventually be healthy. Maybe Undertaker sticks around. And boom, and all of a sudden, you've got a period after WrestleMania that's not boring, that doesn't suck, that's actually interesting, and dare I say somewhat unpredictable. But are they going to do that? No. Most likely not. Another scenario you could do, if you want to put some steam on a heel and turn a guy, is have Dean Ambrose win the last man standing match, or dare I say lose it. I don't know why, and then have him enter the Royal Rumble. Now, I don't know why you entered the Royal Rumble after being knocked out 2 hours earlier. Seems like a big athletic commission issue, but WWE doesn't really, again, pay attention to UFC in real life. But you could have Roman Reigns eliminate a bunch of guys. Dean Ambrose be either number 30 or, again, number 31 if you want to shock people. Have Dean Ambrose help Roman against the League of Nations and Brock or the Wyatts and everybody else. And then Swerve. Dean attacks Roman Reigns, beats him up with a chair, eliminates, say, like Del Rio, who's second to last, and then eliminates Roman Reigns. And then you have a top heel right there. And then you could do something with Triple H and Roman Reigns at Fastlane where Triple H interferes in the match. And then it could be Dean versus, say, Brock. And then Roman versus Triple H. And then Extreme Rules. Again, Roman Reigns challenges for the title against whoever, top heel. Do I think they're going to be that creative? No. I really don't. And I don't necessarily mind seeing Roman winning the match. I don't mind him seeing losing either, but I don't mind him winning the match either. I don't. The thing is, if he's just going to face Triple H at WrestleMania, defend the title against Triple H at WrestleMania, man, that's just highly predictable. Just my opinion, though. Happy birthday, Ryan Curtis, who's watching this live on YouTube. Could the Bully Ray gimmick work in today's WWE? If so, how would you book it? It could work. Simple. Have Bubba Ray Dudley turn on Devon Dudley, break the stupid Dudley boy's glasses, completely denounce Dudleyville, and just have him be Bully Ray. The second he starts cutting these old Bully Ray promos that he did in TNA, I think he's going to get over great. I really do. The thing is, you already kind of have a guy that's very similar to the Bully Ray character it was in TNA. And that guy is Kevin Owens. And Kevin Owens is significantly better on the mic. Actually, I don't want to say significantly better, because Bully Ray at his peak was really good too. But I'd say Kevin Owens is better on the mic. I'd say Kevin Owens is a better star presence. Kevin Owens is definitely better in the ring. Kevin Owens, at this point, is certainly the bigger star. So do you really want to have two rough and tough guys on this? I mean, you know what? I guess it's better to have two guys that are legit badasses than one. It's better to have guys like Bully Ray and Kevin Owens, more guys like Bully Ray, Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe, than it is to have Heath Slaters and Curtis Axel. So you know what? I'd be fine with that. He's like 43, 44 years old, though. I don't really see them doing much with him. I think he'd be a great character for NXT. And he'd actually be, maybe not from an in-ring standpoint, but from a character standpoint, a great replacement for Samoa Joe. If you actually, dare I say, call up Samoa Joe with a novel concept. So I can see that happening. I don't think it'll take too much to turn Bully Ray and kind of get him over as at least somewhat of a credible heel. But if he's just losing to Wyatt, or if he turns heel and then loses to, I don't know, Neville or whomever every now and then, yeah, I don't see him really going anywhere. Nathaniel James, can you play tag team? I'm actually not playing the game right now, the WWE 2K16 stream. I just kind of have it going in the background. And at the moment in the Royal Rumble, we have Curtis Axel, Santa Claus, Hulk Hogan, our TSC webmaster Eugene in the pink, and Jeff Hardy. Bestie Failed says, I'm a little bit tired. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. I have to work in 2 hours. Great show today. I appreciate it. And I think Triple H will win after Lesnar is eliminated by Wyatt. Well, interesting. Well, okay. He's saying he thinks Lesnar will be eliminated by Wyatt, and he thinks Triple H will win by eliminating Roman Reigns. Okay, that's cool. It's cool. Well, thank you for the kind words, sir. Yeah, I have work too. Not in 2 hours, but I'd say about five or six. So I'll probably get going soon. Who had the bigger impact in WWE, Daniel Bryan or CM Punk? Both guys had their own respective impacts. I think CM Punk's was a little bit bigger because he was in the company longer and he did have the pipe bomb promo and everything. Both guys could have been even bigger stars than they became if WWE just allowed them to be protected like John Cena and be put in a position like John Cena, as opposed to saying, oh yeah, they're main eventers, but we're going to put them right underneath John Cena and have him feud with guys like, I don't know, Kane. But both made their own impacts. Maybe not so much on the box office, although both guys made money, especially CM Punk with the merch and everything. But really, as far as perception, I think both guys really kind of opened the doors for the guys you see now in NXT, like a Finn Balor, like an AJ Styles who's set to debut, like a Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, guys like that. There's a big stigma against indie guys. And I think to some extent there still is, but nowhere near as much as before. They've become a lot more open-minded. It's funny because CM Punk preaches change, and WWE wouldn't budge, and now that he's long gone, essentially, I'm not saying Triple H is taking all of his ideas, but he's kind of doing what CM Punk has been suggesting all along, and that's giving guys of different shapes and sizes, especially some of the really talented indie workers, a chance. And hey, it's worked out for him. And I don't know if he'll tell you himself. Maybe he will. I mean, he's a pretty confident guy, but I think CM Punk would say he certainly opened the doors for a lot of guys. Daniel Bryan, I don't know if he'll take the credit for that, but I think he deserves some credit too, because he is height-wise a smaller guy than CM Punk, and he was far less protected than CM Punk was. and he still got over. Okay, we'll take a couple more questions and then get out of here. Who do you see winning the Royal Rumble other than Roman Reigns, Triple H, or Brock Lesnar? If Chris Jericho was actually booked like a reasonable human being that was a bad guy, a tough guy, a badass, I'd say Chris Jericho. But I'd say those are the three guys. Maybe they'll shock the world and they'll have AJ Styles win. They'll pull a page out of New Japan's playbook and just give this guy the title in his debut. I really don't see that happening, though. That would be incredible. That would create a ton of buzz. But I don't think that's going to happen. And we'll go to one last poll question here that I put up on Twitter. All right. I asked people, will Roman Reigns win the Royal Rumble match? 53% of you said no. 47% of you said yes. If you want to vote on that poll, it'll last for another 22 hours, and we will reveal the results on our SmackDown recap or Royal Rumble preview. I'll be back later this week to preview the Royal Rumble, recap SmackDown, and of course, this coming Sunday, it is our Royal Rumble coverage. So, guys, if you enjoyed this Raw recap, please feel free to click the like button. Please feel free to share this with all your friends. Please don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, soundcloud.com/TSC News,